I'm working back topside now, trying to get this dual 1000 microfarad electrolytic unmounted. It does make me wonder, how did they put this together in the first place? Because, look at this, we've got this collar around the base, screwed down to the chassis, and then we've got a screw coming in from the side with a nut on it. Well, if you want to undo the collar, you can't, at least not with a nut driver, because that shaft of the screw gets in the way. You can't take the screw out because the head is right up near the flyback, so you can't get a screwdriver in this way. And you can't turn that nut because it's a square nut pressing up against the body of that capacitor. Luckily, I think I can get this little baby open and wrenched down in there. I hope I have just enough room. Yeah, I think so, that I can, yes. Ooh, might take a while. I'm hoping I'm doing it left-handed while I hold the camera, but there's just enough clearance that, here, switch hands. There's just enough clearance that I can get in between these two transformers and get it off. I'm guessing when they built this set, they installed this before the flyback. And I'm also thinking that the spacing on these holes for this mounting collar will be the same as an adaptacap, the larger size. We shall see in a moment. It's odd the way they mounted this. This is a rare cap to see where there are 3 lugs coming out of the bottom and the can is not connected to anything, which allowed them to ground one of the positive and access 2 negative leads, because it's used to filter the negative power supply. I was able to remove it. Here's a better look at it. So it says 1000 plus 1000, only 6 working volts, common positive red, negative black. On the bottom we have 3 lugs. So this is a common positive for the 2 caps. And then there's 1 negative leg and another negative leg. So you want to be careful and double check when you're working with something like this, because it's not your typical cap. And of course it's bulging and it's bad, just like all the other electrolytics in this set. Yeah, those holes did line up perfectly with an adaptacap, so there are my 2 new 1000 microfarad caps installed. And while I was working in this area, I cleaned it all up around there. Here are some of those crispy wires I was talking about down below. Here's where they come out. These are the ones going to the yoke. I do plan on replacing all those. Same with this. This is the socket plugging into where the single-ended 6K6 audio amp would go in the tabletop version, while the grounding braid has broken loose. So either I need to repair this or just install a whole new bit of coax. I finished testing the rest of the tubes and was pleasantly surprised that most of them are still good, including the Coke bottle style 5V4, which are a little pricey. Some of the miniatures were bad. The site uses a surprising number of 6BA6s. They use it for video IF rather than a 6AU6 or 6AG5s. Got plenty of them on hand, so that's not a problem. Now, I want to mention something about parts. Somebody had asked me if I could put together a parts list for him, because he might be working on I think the Dust tabletop version of this set. Well, I keep a pretty good supply of parts on hand. So for sure, the common stuff I have. So all I ordered were the power resistors, and I splurged on some Sprague Atoms. But even so, I still messed up, and almost messed up even bigger. See, what I typically do is jump and look at the Sam's parts list. Just happen to have Batman on in the background next to the vintage TV camera, whether that's a real one or a prop. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so two resistors they show on the schematic are these two guys, which you do not need for the combo version. This has a separate power amp, which requires two different power resistors, which I did not order. I had something on hand that's close enough, but I want to get something beefier, so I'm going to place a second order. Now, what I find curious is I was looking on a schematic, where do these go? And I had noticed earlier when I was working on replacing these electrolytics, there's a lug here on this transformer. There's a little stump of a lead, but there was no part going to it. Well, I looked at the parts locator on the SAMs, and they show it right here. That's one of those resistors for the audio circuit that this set doesn't need. I guess it looks something like that, which makes me wonder, did they take a tabletop chassis and modify it for this combo set? Is this not the original chassis for this combo set? Which would explain the wiring, because on the service info they show a plug for these wires, where this one is hardwired in. So at some point in this set's life, did the original chassis go wonky and they replaced it with a tabletop version and modified it to match the console version? Or back when they made these, did they just pull one of these off the assembly line and modify it on the fly and clip out some parts and rewire some stuff for the combo sets? Of course, we'll never know, but I thought that was kind of interesting. And once again, before you order stuff, it's tedious, but don't just go off the parts list. Look at what you actually have and try to compare and contrast, identify all the parts and go through it before you waste some money. Or worse yet, have to place a second order because you didn't get everything you needed. I'm back working underneath the chassis, so we got a raster on the set, but there wasn't much height. And probably not coincidentally, the one area I haven't done much work on is where the vertical output stage is, which I think is this tube. Oh, well, there's a reason why I haven't recapped this yet, and that's because it's really, really, really hard to get at. I just extracted this cap from up down in there, and it was not easy. And as soon as I did, I noticed there's another cap that's going to be, I don't even know how to get at it. Also, that guy up there, an electrolytic, but there's a cap. I don't even know if you guys can see it, but it's back there. It's physically impossible for me to get at it unless I take this guy out. And even that, I'm not sure how, because it has an ear on either side of the 1/4-inch nut. Now that one I can get at. But the other one, geez, I got peaking coils in the way. And yeah, it's just, I'm hoping though, at least if I take this one out, I can swing this a little bit, and then maybe that'll do me something. Except it has those lovely lacquered cloth covered wires, and if I start moving them, they're going to start cracking, and those are going right to a transformer, so I can't really replace them if I do crack them. Hence why I grabbed my video camera, because I'm trying to think this through. So there's a wax cap, and then there's an electrolytic, and I think they both connect to a ground lug that's on the other side of this transformer. And yeah, they do. And I have to, that's what's in that corner up there, I have to get in there. Yeah, if I do some J-hooking and leave the lead lengths along with from the old caps, maybe. Well, I figure if I'm going to do it, let's do it. So I carefully disconnected 4 wires, flexing them as little as possible. And I think, where did it come out? This wire's a little bit tricky. It goes under some other stuff. Oh, come on. There we go. Piece of cake. I do believe that is the vertical output transformer. Put that aside for safekeeping. Now, let's see what's up in that corner. Yeah, so those are those two caps I want to get after. And the lugs are going to. Alright. Oh man, that was so much fun, but in the home stretch I think so. After removing vertical output transformer, I recapped back in here, checked the resistors, they all seem to be in spec. Just remounted the transformer and I am carefully reattaching it, following all my notes and reference photos. I'll tell you, people complain about working on Predictas. No. This way, I Predicta, unwrap the wires, pop out the board, restuff the board, pop it back in, reconnect the wires, and you're done for the most part. This, I've been working on this off and on for a month. And I still have a lot to do. So, I believe all the paper caps have now been replaced for the TV. So from here to the back. I've been spot checking resistors, and there are some that are pretty far off, and some of these resistors just look miserable. It should be 11K. It's about 13. It's also in the vertical circuit, so that might also be affecting our lack of height. And something I often check are the low value cathode bias resistors on the IF tubes. We typically have 68 ohms, 82 ohms, 100 ohms. They often drift really badly off, like this is supposed to be 100 ohms. It measures more like 250. That's going to affect the gain, so I like to go after those. Let's see, it would make it the bias more negative, so yeah, I would decrease the gain. I do believe. Alright, but before we get into that, I want to make sure that the work I did up here didn't mess anything up, so I have two more wires to attach, and then another power up. Alright, let's turn this guy on. Good. We didn't dead short anything. We got the dial lights back on. We're drawing a reasonable amount of current. This means I'm in radio mode. Now the radio was working alright. At least the FM radio was. I don't think I ever tried AM. So let's make sure that still works. I can hear a faint crackle when I move the volume, but I'm not hearing any stations tuning around the dial. Crap, we got nothing. We got nothing. Oh. just wiggling the tubes a little bit. Make myself jump there. Well, that stinks. Well, we'll deal with that later. Phono mode, radio mode. Oh, really? Hang on. So it must have been an AM radio mode, and the AM radio is not working. Could just be because I don't have an AM antenna hooked up. Yeah, the FM radio is still working. Alright, now, back to the point.
What is the big question?
Let's check TV. Hey, we have height. We have much more height than we did before. Fantastic, so that was worth the effort. Let's see, here's the vertical size control. So yeah, I can vary the size. Boy, there's so many controls on this. There's actually a pair of vertical size for whether you're in zoom mode or normal mode. You have vertical centering. I'll adjust that. That should move up and down. Yep, it is. Cool. This is linearity, which should affect the height somewhat. Yep. Fantastic. Well, I guess we're at the point now where we should see if we can actually receive something, huh? Well, I'll save you some boredom. Trying to feed in a signal through the antenna terminals got me nothing. No reception cross dial, every channel, maximum power, nothing. Alright, so let's start troubleshooting. Fastest way, signal injection. Start right at the output, go into the grid of the video amp, over to my TVA 92. Let's see, we got in video mode, 30 volt peak to peak range, 0 output right now. Let's start increasing it. Oh, it's definitely having an effect. Be very surprised if it wasn't. So going that way doesn't look so good. I think we got the polarity wrong, so let's invert the polarity. And maybe get the tripod set up and play around with the controls. So these concentric controls in the middle are horizontal and vertical hold. Let's see. So the outer is vertical. Let's try the inner. Let's make it worse. Let's go the other way. Yes, yes. A little touchy. Now, I don't know what amplitude I should be feeding into this, so I'm going to vary the level of my Syncor a bit. Okay, well, that's obviously too much. Go down, fades away. Just tweak that hold a little bit. Alright, so let's see, let's play around with that again a little bit. Too much. Alright, let's leave it there. Let's see, we got brightness and contrast we can play with. So you watch that, and let's see what's what. I gotta look at the SAMs again. So many controls on this, it's hard to remember what's what. Alright, so brightness. So next to the band switch, contrast. Okay, they're on either side of the middle control. Alright, so this should be brightness. Yeah. Okay, I had it up really high. That's better. And then this is contrast, which may not have any effect because of our direct injection. I think we're past the point where contrast would do anything. Okay, well, that's looking good. Let's turn our linearity a little bit and get that better. Tweak the height a little bit. Guy. Alright. Alright, let's try another pattern here. Cross edge. Ooh, yeah, not looking so good in the far right. That would be affected by the drive control, which I'm not sure where it is. Or the condition of the horizontal output tube, or the signal going into it. But the left-hand side looks good, and that can be a little bit trickier to adjust. So that's good, that's good. And a few other patterns. Multi-burst should be fantastic because we're doing direct injection. That's weird, though. I must have the yoke on backwards, because these should be flipped around. Staircase. It should be apparent. Yeah. It should be going dark to light, left to right, not right to left. That's funny. Alright, cool. So, we got two things to check out. AM radio and figure out somewhere between the antenna terminals and the video output tubes, something's going awry.